That same question always comes to mind while watching Bob Ross. Is it really possible to be this calm? Can a person speak to millions without ever raising their voice, even for a moment? Or is this calmness a conscious posture built upon many lived experiences? It's easy to remember Bob Ross simply as the man who paints happy trees. But the real story begins when the brush is not on the canvas, because the tranquility Bob Ross spoke of was not a natural result of his life. It was his answer to life. Bob Ross, born in Florida in 1942, spent his childhood in a family that, from the outside, seemed pretty ordinary. His father was a carpenter, his mother a waitress. There was no display of great love at home, but there were no open conflicts either. This environment shaped Bob Ross's introverted character from an early age. He preferred solitude to interacting with people. His interest in animals, his bond with nature, and his ability to spend long periods alone were not shortcomings, but necessities for him. In his youth, he made a decision that would steer his life early on. At 18, he joined the U.S. Air Force. Behind this decision were both a search for order and a wish to support his family financially. But when he was sent to Alaska, his life changed completely. The harsh climate, strict discipline, and hierarchical structure were all completely opposed to Bob Ross's nature. He served in the military for about 20 years. As his rank rose, so did his responsibilities. Eventually, he became a master sergeant. At that point, he wasn't just receiving orders, he was giving them. He had to yell at people, not accept mistakes, and maintain control. This role placed a profound pressure on him. When describing this period years later, he often said that having to yell at people wore him down inside. This exhaustion was the main reason behind his decision to leave the military. One day, he realized that this life did not match at all with the person he wanted to be. Leaving the military was not just about painting. He didn't want to yell anymore. His first serious contact with painting began during his years stationed in Alaska. He would paint landscapes in his spare time. Snowy mountains, quiet lakes, and desolate forests felt both familiar and safe to him. During this time, he discovered the wet-on-wet technique. This technique completely changed his relationship with painting, because there was no such thing as a mistake. A wrong stroke could instantly become something else. This approach became Bob Ross's philosophy of life. In a world he couldn't control, at least he had control over his canvas. After leaving the military, he invested all his savings into painting and teaching. It was not an easy choice. He left behind financial security. But in return, he chose a life where he could speak with his own voice. When the joy of painting started in 1983, TV audiences encountered something they were not used to. No one was rushing. No one was shouting. Bob Ross would look into the camera, speak slowly, and tell viewers, "You can do it too." That sentence was the show's strongest message. His interactions on television were highly conscious. Ross created the feeling of speaking one-on-one with the viewer. He didn't warn about mistakes, correct errors, or make anyone feel inadequate. Even when the brush was dropped, he'd say, "Let's let it find its own way." This approach had a huge impact, especially on viewers with low self-confidence. But there was an unknown detail. Bob Ross rehearsed every painting many times before each episode. Nothing that appeared spontaneous on screen was truly random. The positions of trees, the height of mountains, the way the light fell, all were pre-planned. So his calmness came not from lack of planning, but quite the opposite, from masterful control. His iconic afro hair was also often misunderstood. This hairstyle was not a personal choice by Bob Ross. It came about from a perm deal. and since it became a brand identity, it couldn't be changed. It is known that he personally did not like the hair, but over time, it became a symbol, independent from him. Looking closely at Bob Ross's paintings, an interesting detail stands out. Most of the paintings contain no people. There are houses, but the doors are closed. There are roads, but you can't tell where they lead. This is seen as a conscious choice, because Bob Ross painted the tranquility not of people, but of places where people did not exist. His private life reflects this solitude as well. He was married 3 times. His son, Steve Ross, was born from his first marriage. Steve followed in his father's footsteps, became a painter, and appeared on the show. However, the father-son relationship was never warm. Bob Ross preferred to bottle up his feelings instead of showing affection. The greatest support in his life was his second wife, Jane Ross. Jane was not only his wife, but also his business partner, manager, and most trusted person. Jane Ross's death from cancer in 1992 created a huge void in Bob Ross's life. After this loss, Ross withdrew even more into himself. His health began to deteriorate. His energy faded. During this period, Walt and Annette Kowalski held control of Bob Ross Incorporated. After Jane's death, full control of the company passed to them. While Bob Ross was ill, he was excluded from brand decisions. He was no longer able to oversee deals made in his name. Licensed products, paint sets, and training videos generated millions of dollars worldwide, but this revenue did not benefit Bob Ross or his son, Steve Ross. This process came to be known as betrayal. In 1994, Bob Ross was diagnosed with lymphoma. This information was kept secret from viewers. Continuation of the show, protection of the brand, and avoiding upsetting viewers were the justifications. In the last episodes, careful viewers noticed his trembling hands, shortened breath, and pauses. But Ross never mentioned it. He spent his last months mostly in isolation. He was under treatment, no longer appeared before cameras, and was totally excluded from company decisions. His name, face, and voice still generated revenue, but he himself was outside the system. On July 4, 1995, he passed away at the age of 52. His death was announced quietly, with no major ceremony. His ashes were scattered in the Alaskan wilderness, according to his wishes. This was the final expression of his devotion to quietude. True fame came only after his death. In the internet age, Bob Ross was rediscovered. His videos have been watched millions of times. Younger generations embraced him as a symbol of peace. He became part of meme culture. He became a global icon. But this fame benefited mostly the systems he couldn't control. Bob Ross was not always happy. He was not always calm. But he chose to teach tranquility. Maybe that's why millions of people still turn on his voice today. Because sometimes people are moved not by those who shout, but by those who speak softly. And what Bob Ross left behind is not just paintings. It's a human story that shows silence can also be a form of expression. To share Bob Ross's story and peaceful world with more people, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and write your thoughts in the comments. What does Bob Ross mean to you? Let's discover the power of silence together.